Hello, and welcome to Womplay's guide to World of Warships, a breathtaking naval battle simulator that will take you for a cruise full of action right between the devil and the deep blue sea. The goal for you there is to become the most accomplished captain the 20th century has ever seen, changing nation allegiances, clans, ship classes, and anything else your heart desires. The game offers a lot of playstyle variety and a whole ocean of opportunities to surprise and overpower your enemies. Today we will go over the basics, see different game modes, learn a bit of the Navy lingo, and take you to the battle with us. All to make you a textbook captain. Let's go! Another thing that makes World of Warships special is that it's the first desktop game on Womplay. And while it has fairly modest system requirements, we still recommend checking those up front before you install the game launcher. Once it's in though, you will land in your port with few ships in your fleet. Now, with over 300 armored beauties in total, the game will have 4 types of watercrafts at your disposal. You've got destroyers, cruisers, battleships and aircraft carriers. All are pretty unique and have their strengths and downsides. Let's take a closer look at each type. Destroyers are light, fast, and they pack a punch. Not even the most seasoned battleship captain will survive a simultaneous attack of 3 or 4 of those. They are also much better in a closer range. That way, their torpedoes have a higher chance of hitting the target. They reload really slow though, so even though you feel more versatile at sea, you really have to make each attack count. Cruisers are like average Joes in your fleet. Unlike other types, cruisers are more of a it is what you make of it kind of a vessel, thanks to multiple armament and consumable setups. You can truly discover yourself as a captain operating a cruiser. You can aim for an anti-aircraft build, or artillery support, or anything else in between really. Overall, they are particularly useful against destroyers, having a much higher fire rate and accuracy. Battleships are the tanks of this game. They can deal and withstand insane amounts of damage. Furthermore, they can strike from much further up than other ship classes, so you can essentially make it a vanguard of your attacking formation, or also keep it in the back to support others from the sidelines. Finally, there are aircraft carriers. They aren't dangerous by themselves, but they unleash death from above instead. Because of the aircraft's mobility, these are perfect for reconnaissance and strategic moves in the battle. Your airborne squadrons can take both light and fast targets, or sink heavily armored ships, depending on their armament. But remember, carriers give you as much to lose as they give to gain, so you should keep those away from the heat of the battle. Now that we've gone over the ship classes, let's get acquainted with the game itself. So here we are in the game, and at the very beginning you won't have those options here. You will only basically be able to go to battle straight away. We also have a premium account for the next 7 days, so will you, to enjoy a wider selection of ships, some of the elite ones actually, and you can, try your hand with different loadouts, with different modifications, different armament, to basically get acquainted with how generally naval navigation works. Oh, what was that in the background? I swear to God. Maybe it's just me, but their interpretation of the 20th century looks a lot more freaky than I would imagine. But I digress. Basically, what this premium account status gives you is the opportunity to try out higher tier ships. Like this one, you can see by the golden icon here, this is an elite vessel, tier 2 vessel, all the more so, and get more experience with little beauties down there throughout this whole period of time. So I definitely recommend taking advantage of it and using these first 7 days not only to just get acquainted with the game, but go into battle as much as possible and farm experience that way. Currently we only have cruisers in our available lineup, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, so different tiers of cruisers, different nations, different types. Cruiser is, as I said earlier, that is basically go-to universal vessel, right? But you can already see that they all have higher concealment, essentially, which means that they are very kind of good as reconnaissance vessels, or you know, to keep them as kind of far back as possible and help the other ships from the sidelines with their artillery or whatnot. They also all have mostly low survivability, so this is definitely not the kind of ship you want to take right into the middle of a fight, except for St. Louis. And as you can see, the overall stats there for St. Louis, except for maneuverability, maybe they're pretty high, and this is why we are going to be taking this baby into fight together. This core battle is your only option for now. As you can see, this is a battle against a team of bots. We will be randomly put together with any other people around who want to do a co-op battle. I don't think I will have a way of communicating with them besides some in-game commands, because they're randoms, but I don't think that bot battles are that difficult, to be honest. While we're waiting, we will be probably put in either of the 3 main game modes. So there's a standard battle where you capture the enemy's HQ, so to say, or destroy their fleet completely, or try to gain control over strategic zones on the map. They can be scattered around or be centered in the middle of the map, like in dots. You know, the closer you are to the center, the more points you get for controlling this area. You will also be able to see some useful tips while waiting to get into battle, but it really doesn't come any close to trying it out yourself. Oh, we're in domination, so we'll be fighting over control. We'll be fighting for control over 3 areas, as you can see there: A, B, or C. I am going to go to area A. I see that there are essentially 3 ships taken towards that direction, mine included, or is it 4 now already? I cannot see the enemy vessels yet. Okay, so they're basically maining C. We are not sure what we're doing exactly, but that's essentially one of the main things where you need to kind of at least try to coordinate with your teammates, whether they're randoms or not, and you need to exploit your range. Okay, so this one is within our range. We can shoot up to 11 kilometers far, but because it's pretty far off, we need to take a little bit of a lead on that, so that our shells can actually hit that. be sure to always kind of keep it on your crossroads line. Okay. So dodge this one, but this was pretty intense. We got hit by torpedoes there, and because of that, we got flooded. Okay. I guess this one's at... Oh, so they're using smoke. That's a pretty clever tactic that is not available to our class. What is going on there? That, as I mentioned, is not available to my class, to a cruiser. You can get it with the destroyer. Our team started capturing zone A over there. I think they're doing fairly well. In domination, basically, if you are not super great at controlling different zones, you should just focus on taking down enemies. I am in no way a strategic player, so to say. Oopsie. Hit one of my own. So yeah, you shouldn't play with me. But if you just like me are not super great at making exactly those kind of strategic moves, being mobile and, you know, just trying to be anywhere and everywhere and standing your ground, so to say, you can always try to kind of count on your team to do that while you're cruising around behind and taking out enemies. Because in the end, if there are no enemies left, there is no competition to take over those strategic zones, right? So by that logic, it's it might be much easier to just yeah. The screen smoke didn't help for sure. Okay. Okay, and there we are. Not only did we capture the zones as required, but we also destroyed everyone in the enemy team. I did get a penalty for hitting an ally, but what can I say? I have no excuse for that. But hey, it wouldn't be as interesting if not for a dumbass like me on your team. But yeah, make sure not to do that when you're playing clan battles or something like that. Against the bots is kind of fine. But hey, we did get some credits right here and more experience. So we're making it closer to our goal of getting a new ship. And we also have a ship module available, which is a main battery that takes away from reload time, and as you saw, those can be pretty important in the heat of the battle, especially when you're let's say surrounded by 2 or 3 enemy ships, and you know that you can take a couple of those out, right? But because of your reload time, you're essentially being torn apart by those. So the less that cooldown takes, the better. And the turn time is also pretty important, because you may have noticed, but the ship itself is kind of slow. It doesn't stop or accelerate whenever you command it to it right away. It brings a sense of realism to the game essentially, but it also gives you a little bit more things to kind of think ahead about whenever you want to make a strategic move. Same with turrets and guns. They are not also, it's not like in a classic shooter game where you can shoot in any direction you just point at, right? It takes time for the turrets to turn around as well. So this here, the turn time is also, I would say, a fantastic upgrade to have, especially for the ships like St. Louis, like mine, that is pretty much perfect for a beginner, if not for its fairly low maneuverability. In the situation where we cannot have a fast and maneuverable ship, we can at least compensate that with maneuverable weaponry, which is pretty neat, I think. And of course, a bonus in artillery. Looks fantastic to me. We should definitely research that. And we have enough experience to spend on this. So let's do that. Yes, absolutely. We can then spend some experience and credits on the hull. As you can see, this will already strengthen our survivability, which is great, but it could always be better, right? I'm all for increasing maneuverability even by 1 point, but anti-aircraft defense is actually also pretty useful. In this battle we didn't have any carriers as far as I remember, but the aircrafts can be particularly nasty. You see, the whole thing about cruisers is their concealment, but aircrafts, because they're just more mobile and they can go anywhere basically, the islands don't hinder them, nothing hinders them, they can essentially negate this advantage simply because of that, their good recon means. And then of course we can have a better gunfire control system. But let's see. Or we might as well invest into a tier 2 cruiser, the younger sister of St. Louis, Chester, which has exactly that. It's even more discreet in the waters and it has greater maneuverability. So I don't see why not. I think we should give this a try, but not as part of the vanguard of the fleet for sure, with this kind of survivability and artillery. A couple of other things that you may want to know when launching the game for the first time. The controls are pretty intuitive, pretty straightforward, so if you've played action or shooter games a lot, this will all seem very familiar to you. So the standard WASD control scheme for the abilities, there are dedicated keys like 1 or 2 to switch between weaponry. Then the special consumable that can be damage control, party on cue, or repair party, as you saw me using to get rid of the flooding on R, or torpedoes on T. and the crossheads view or zoom view on shift. But if you ever kind of forget any of that, you can always go to either settings and go over those here. They also have a pretty great help center with all kinds of very visual, very explicit explanations, helping you orient the HUD, your main screen, what you see, what icon means what, and so on and so forth. So even though it may be a bit overwhelming at first, don't fret, you're in good hands here. Okay, we will need to take Edie in the battle to get Chester. So let's show you how to get your own new ship, that is. We have Hashidate, Iri. Let's see how Iri does and how she feels in the waters. So far I can see that we only have cruisers, which is not disastrous, but at the very same time it really kind of dulls down the gameplay. I do admit that there might be substantial differences in the ship's stats, but not in how this is going to feel or play out. Okay. So we're in the standard battle mode where we destroy the ships or capture the base. And you can also press on the H key to call up all of the necessary information about your ship. You can also see your teammates around. Oh, great, somebody already shot one of their own. Whenever you hear those kind of request support, you should just basically look around who that might be and follow their lead. I'm not necessarily saying that this person knows what they're doing, but at least they have some kind of a plan, right? Which should be comforting. Okay, so I did manage to hit that. I am trying to stay kind of I'm trying to direct my my bow, the front part, basically as straight towards the enemy as I can. Oh fuck it, I'm just gonna ram them. Or not! Look at that. But keep in mind, those are bots. That's great. So if I could just finish off that one, yeah. And right now I'm going to be doing something pretty reckless. I wanted to ram that ship, but I guess not today. I will sink that though. Uh-oh. Shouldn't have stopped. So right now, as you can see, you don't necessarily always have to use crosshair's view to kind of land a hit, but it definitely helps, especially if you are maining, let's say, a Japanese battleship. And those are usually much better at a greater range. So they don't, while they do have increased survivability compared to other ship classes, it doesn't mean that they are completely invincible, and it is better to keep those away from close quarters and just, you know... I'm still amazed by the fact that the game thinks that I don't need repairs when I am practically minutes away of having it all handed to me, basically. I'm just gonna bugger off. But yeah, as you can see, cruisers are not the most interesting ships to main or to battle with. I guess it also depends on the specific class of the ship. But hey, we completed our goal. We researched a tier 2 cruiser. Awesome. So we can now research a tier 2 cruiser. Didn't take us a lot. In total that was 3 battles. Alright, so now we can even do PvP. But let's get the new ship first. This is going to be our first sort of owned with blood and sweat. I don't necessarily want to buy another cruiser, but whatever, right? And we still have... we didn't have any experience with Chester specifically, so let's take Chester into battle. Chester, where are you, my... Ah, there we go. There. It has a much better survivability and artillery than Erie. So I do think that this is going to be a much easier vessel to navigate around. And there it is. We're doing a co-op battle again because I'm not entirely sure. Oh right, so not only is it better equipped, so to say, there's more variety to that. Unlike Eerie, we can now switch to armor piercing, armament. Essentially, it's much better against destroyers. Against battleships and other cruisers with higher survivability, like St. Louis. But we'll see what can we do with the explosive ones this round. Enemy not in sight yet, but I'm not even hoping to get ahead in the battles yet, because, as I said, cruisers are the least interesting class to me. But then again, it gets a lot better once you unlock all those research modules and whatnot, and really have okay. So we have more destroyers this time. They're faster, so we'll have to... In the meantime, I'm being completely exposed here. This is also one of the things that kind of makes the crosshead view much more inconvenient than I would want it to be. Because it kind of keeps you from seeing a bigger picture, and you can easily miss something like an enemy ship coming at you from an entirely different side. And if you're not backed up by your teammates, then I'm doing a drift maneuver now. But yeah, even those situations, if you're not backed up by your teammates, then it can get pretty tough, if I'm honest. That ship here is practically in the same situation as me. I'm far away from the main action. Oh, that was funny. Come on, reload! Yeah, no, I think I'm gonna switch back to explosive shells. That it is. And there we go. That was pretty fast. This time we did without any penalties or hitting our teammates, which is great. Did some damage. Not as much experience came out of that as I hoped, but hey, it's a learning curve. Besides experience and credits, you can also earn actual crypto with World of Warships on Womplay. Check out the games page there to see how you can get some Wombbucks and ears while playing. That was our rundown of World of Warships. Hope you enjoy the game. Join our Wombat Gamers Discord server and be on the lookout for more guides and Let's Plays. And check back on Womplay for our first World of Warship challenge sometime soon. Which game would you like to see on Womplay next? Write the name in the comments below and stay playing and slaying. Ciao!